how eclipses are portals to the future. And I thought it was quite appropriate being in this moment that we're here, this historical eclipse that right here in the heart of Texas, we're going to be in the 100% totality of 4.5 minutes of darkness. And so eclipses as portals to the future, as they take us from one point in our evolutionary time and space to another, is my topic today. And so, the question being, what is an eclipse? Okay, great. So essentially, it's kind of obscure to describe sometimes, but it's the rotation, the Earth going around the ecliptical orbit. The plane which contains the orbit of the Earth is called the ecliptic, not always easy to say. And then the moon revolving around the Earth in an orbit, which is not in the plane of the ecliptic, but it's inclining towards it at a degree of 5 degrees. And it's because of this tilt that the moon's orbit intersects the ecliptic plane at 2 points. And these are the points that we call the nodal axis, or Rahu Ketu. And this process takes about 18 years, so essentially to complete, and one revolution around the Earth. And this is also significant to note that the revolution is in an opposite direction as the other planets go. So I wanted to show that because sometimes when we're describing what creates an eclipse, which is a newer full moon conjunct the nodal axis, it is a bit obscure to explore. So hopefully that helped a little bit. So I think that the reason why I wanted to talk about this is there's controversy when it comes to eclipses. There's a lot of people that fear eclipses, a lot of cultures, a lot of even astrological philosophies that believe that they're malefic potentially, and that we shouldn't be outside and we shouldn't look at them, and they bring devastation and they bring darkness. This is one of the reasons why I love and I chose evolutionary astrology, because I feel like we're coming out of the age of dualism, the age of polarity, the age of Pisces, the age of separation. And we're moving into this Aquarian age where we're starting to work, as I mentioned, more as alchemists, and understanding that the connection between the light and the dark, obviously, and that we don't have sun, we don't have night without day. We don't have the in-breath without the out-breath. And so I wanted to, just explore a little bit that, there's been many positive things that also happen during eclipse cycles, is maybe just not making the news. It's usually like bad news travels fast kind of thing. But, just a few just to name are just like Einstein's theory of relativity was confirmed. The United Nations was found after World War II. These are big, significant shifts in our evolution. The first telephone call was made during an eclipse portal. And so what I wanted to introduce as an invitation, and I know this isn't new to everyone, is that there's a way in which that we can work with these lunations intentionally. And as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm also a Jungian counselor. And so I go deep into Jungian astrology and, philosophy and psychology. And one of the tenets of Jung's work that really resonates so strong with me is this idea of an antidromia, that it actually, evolution happens through the tension between the light and the dark. And that eclipses are the big turning points on the planet. And so it's this, like the metaphor of the crossbow, like the pulling back, the tension, the further back we go, then whenever it releases, there can be a quantum leap in evolution. And I feel like this is something that we can lean into to give us some understanding and some hope around these dark times, this apocalyptic moment that we find ourselves in. Instead of going into fear of doom and gloom and, these idealizations about a dystopian future, perhaps we just look to nature and we remember that we evolve in the natural cycles of death and rebirth. And humanity is essentially in one of the most grand of those, as we cross through this birth canal into a new age, which is always an end of an era and the beginning of another era. And so we find ourselves here in the eclipse portal. And eclipses are known as portals of time. It's like a cauldron of energy that is doing its alchemical magic. It's 6 weeks. It opens 2 weeks before the first lunation and won't close till the 2 weeks after. In this case, this is, I think, I think it was the new moon in Pisces that opened the gate just like a week and a half ago. And it will close with the full moon in Scorpio at the end of April. And so we're in the Aries Libra axis. Every 18 and a half years, the nodal axis will return to the same position. So when we're talking about eclipses, we're talking about a continuation of themes, of evolutionary themes, of great beginnings and of great endings on the evolutionary journey that we're on, both personal and collective. So we can look back 6 months to the previous eclipse, or we can look back 9 years or 18 years. So in this case, that would have been 2015, 2006, to glean the meaning from our own evolutionary journey. And of course, this is the axis we like to consider as the axis of relationships. This is also the axis of war and peace, which I really want to emphasize. This is a very important eclipse portal that we're in. We understand, we look back at the previous eclipse cycle in the fall in October, November, we had the eruption going on in Israel. And so we are definitely at this, what I feel, the gate. You know, it's like we've been having Braxton Hicks through this threshold, and certainly it's a cusp as we're going through the end of an age and the beginning of an age, perhaps starting in the 60s or beyond. No one knows for sure. It's all speculation. But this is where speaking the archetypal language becomes so valuable, because if you know the archetypes, you see the dissolving of one with the rising of the other happening simultaneously. So this first eclipse that's upon us will be the lunar eclipse, March 25th. In the sign of Libra, South Node eclipse. So bringing up old patterns, relational patterns, codependency patterns. I do a lot of work with sacred relationship. Libra's the first deacon. We're traveling through in the age of Aquarius, knowing that the precession goes backwards. That means the first 700 years, relationship is the crucible to accelerate our evolution, in the sense that seeing ourselves as mirrors, as fractals of the one, instead of all of the continued division, which the more that we stay in a state of division, we're perpetuating the original wound of separation, which is what the whole challenge is right now, is to wake up out of that amnesia state of separation reality, separation consciousness into organismic consciousness, which I loved, Soul, your presentation, because I feel that myself so deeply, being zero Aquarius, this multidimensional reality that we're coming out of a paradigm where essentially humanity, you know, we fall asleep and we wake up over time, remembering ourselves as one organism, organismic consciousness. When enough people start to wake up to that frequency, we'll organically reconstruct every aspect of our world. So the mirror, Libra, becomes the accelerating force. So wherever we're getting triggered, wherever we're giving our power away, etc., becomes the work. And then, of course, the big eclipse. Oh, yes, of course. I have a couple slides in here to remind us. Mirror, mirror on the wall. And then the solar eclipse, 19 Aries, April 8th, the one that we are creating a lot of hoopla around here where I live, Texas style, a lot of big energy. Very, very big, important eclipse at 19 Aries, not just the eclipse in Aries, but 6 planetary bodies in Aries, the warrior. Yes, this is war, but it's also activation. And this is what I'm really passionate about, is also this contribution to evolution, to work with the eclipses directly instead of to fear them, to part of the awakening out of the dream of powerlessness or of separation, or being a bystander to reality, to the politics, to the media, to even the priest, is that we're waking up to our divine responsibility to birth this new age. And so birth is active. So here we are. This is where I feel like this eclipse is very important. 2020, we came and there was this shock. It was like the revealing. This is us getting closer through that birth canal. 2021 was like chaos, trying to reorganize. Oh, the system's falling. What are we going to do? And then I feel like last year was existential initiation, each of us being initiated, self-initiated into the unknown. And 2024 feels like game on. It's the year of the dragon. We have all this fire energy. It's time to activate whatever our contribution is to the organism. So it feels very, very exciting. And it feels very important that we realize our role and our sacred contract is needed. Leo polarity to the Aquarius organism is to give our gift, to shine our light. What lights us up? So I feel really excited about this. I feel like there's no coincidence that I live right here in the heart of Texas. People like to put their heads in the sand saying that things will improve themselves. No, they will not. The hour of a great decision has struck, Rudolf Steiner. The shadow of Libra being complacency, compliance, wanting things to be comfortable at all cost. That, from my perspective, is collective suicide. We have to be in action right now. And so I love the sacred warrior image, the Bodhisattva. And this is what I feel like this eclipse is saying, calling all spiritual warriors. And not just this eclipse, but in general, as this time, all the outer planets are leaving, the zodiac, and we're moving into this completely new paradigm, a new Genesis. And we are the ones to carve this out. And that's the difference between the old age, where we're told what to do and the powers outside of us, and this new time where we remember ourselves as divine co-creators and we're actively participating. The spiritual warrior must be one that has a broken heart. Without a broken heart, the sense of tenderness and vulnerability, your warriorship is untrustworthy. This for me feels very important, and also like the balance of the Venus and the Mars, the actual balance between the nodes. Seeing through the one mind and maintaining balance in the storm. They're not passive states, they're actions which require devotion and duty towards a goal of integrity and authenticity. And so this is not a time to go to sleep. This is a time to be awake and to remember that we can work with these energies consciously, that we can, I've had incredible things happen in my life during eclipses. And so just trusting that there's intelligence in the darkness, there's wisdom in the darkness, everything and everyone is playing its role right now. And that we're part of moving out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius is from duality to quadrality. And so it is. We have been initiated into the unknown. And this is the time that all warriors are being called to activate, to initiate, to relegate this new earth. And so calling all spiritual warriors to Texas, we have a 4-day symposium for the event. We have an incredible group of light workers, not just astrologers. We still have space April 5th through 8th. And thank you so much.
Wow. What I really appreciate, Shannon, I'm also going to share your slide here from your website so people can see it for longer. This is the event you're organizing, and one, each one here is bringing such a different experience of astrology. And what I really would say, what I've experienced with you, is that you are the priestess of astrology, in the sense that you bring ritual and celebration and activations through ceremony and dance. So while we can use astrology in our personal lives and teach it and do readings, what you and perhaps Amir and perhaps all of us in some ways do, but your event here really captures how we are showing up to align with these celestial events, with these important milestones, not only from our computers, but we are actually in ceremony. And that's very important. It's very precious. That's how astrology was part of astronomy back in the day. You know, it used to be a union between earth and sky. So definitely, if this calls you, Texas is nearby. take that eclipse leap. And I will share also that personally, I share your sentiment about a lot of apprehension and a lot of fear around eclipses. And I think they can be the most amazing time, but there's this period of darkness. And what is darkness? It's just a moment of not being in control. And maybe that's what eclipses are, is that we have to trust something beyond our vision, something of a deeper, fateful destiny.
The womb of unmanifest creation is darkness, and I agree 100%. One last thing about our event is that it is about Sangha, and we have a Tibetan monk that's coming, that's going to be doing a live sand mandala ritual throughout, and live Tonka painting, and a sky dancer ritual in our Saturday night dance of the gods. So there's a lot of extraordinary people showing up for this.
Amazing. I mean, I'm going to be in St. Louis, but if not, I would have come.